The Biden administration announced that the Transportation Security Administration will no longer enforce the federal mandate requiring masks in all U.S. airports and on-board aircraft.
There you heard it for yourself. Celebration spontaneously erupting on planes across the country on the announcement that a federal judge in Florida struck down the nationwide mask mandate on public transportation. However, now the Justice Department is appealing that ruling. But it comes after the CDC issued a statement on Thursday saying masking in the indoor transportation corridor remains necessary for the public health. Joining me now, I'm thrilled to say here in studio, Sara Nelson, president of the Association of Flight Attendants-CWA. So glad you're here. Lots to talk about. I mean, you look at this new AP poll, we're going to throw it up here, and it shows that a majority of Americans, they don't want the mask mandate lifted. There's a full 56% who were in favor of travelers wearing masks, 24% opposed to that. And let me just tell you anecdotally, I flew round trip from New York this week. My first flight on Monday, that flight completely masked up, everybody was, but my return flight was after the mask mandate had been dropped, and I was very curious to see. Every flight attendant was wearing the mask. About 9.5 out of 10 people were wearing their masks. It was voluntary. I took such comfort in that, seeing people who wanted to wear their masks, they still did it.
Yeah, they still did it. I have to tell you, when that ruling came out, there was a collective sigh of relief, and here's why. Flight attendants have been wearing those masks 14, 15, 16-hour days because we're flying all day long,
for sure,
not just for a couple hours or 6 hours across the country. And enforcing this has been a real bear. We've had a lot of conflict every single day on the plane. So there was a sigh of relief. At the same time, though, this was communicated very poorly by the airlines mid-flight, so that people were taking off with one set of rules, landing with another. And there are people who are immunocompromised and people who are flying with children or have children at home who can't yet get vaccinated. And we heard from members who were very concerned about this. We also heard from some who were very happy about it. And we heard from others who said, I'm just going to continue wearing my mask.
Right. And that was the good thing. You can. There's no shame in continuing to wear a mask. It seems perfectly normal. And many, obviously, according to that AP study, they want this mask mandate to stay in place. And those people as well, for reasons that you suggested there. But in general, let's take a look at some of these several videos that are circulating online. There's the one that we just played, of course, announcing the end of the mandate. There are some other controversial videos that are out there right now that show crew members appearing to be celebrating with passengers who are happy that, yeah, no more masks, yay. Is there a reaction you have to those? I mean, is there any level of professionalism that you're saying, yeah, maybe you should be celebrating with the passengers?
I'm really, really sort of upset with the airlines because they set a tone here by advocating instead of continuing to do what they had done before, which was say we're going to follow the instruction from the public health officials. So they set a tone ahead of time, and then they pushed these messages to planes while they were in flight. And as I said, this has been very difficult on the front lines. So there were people who were happy, and this was coming from leadership at the airlines. So I think that we've got to take a moment here now and recognize what was done wrong. That is not how you roll out a policy decision in a way that is going to keep things calm, make sure everyone understands the rules, why they're in place, what they need to do to follow them, what the consequences may be if they don't. And we've really got to have, we got to refocus people on the fact that flight attendants are there for the safety, health, and security of the passengers in our care. We need support from our airlines to be able to do that. And you know, I do thank the federal government for backing us up on that, and also for the FAA administrator coming out immediately and saying, listen, folks, we're going to make the zero tolerance policy permanent. Because this hasn't just been about masks. It has been about bucking the fact that flight attendants are there for your safety. We're going to give you instructions to keep you safe, and everyone on board is safe. And you got to follow those. And you can't come on board and be abusive or create conflict or, worst of all, be violent.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the uptick in violence has been extraordinary. It's been awful against flight attendants there, out of people's frustration. But here's my question. If this mask mandate comes back, and that is a big if, but were it to do that, is the genie out of the bottle? I mean, are people going to say, now, wait a minute, we don't want to have to wear our masks again, there's a mandate? Do you worry that that would pose further disruption to the flight attendants and really some danger when they're on the job?
Well, look, I think that because things have been so politicized through these last 2 years, we can't even talk about this in a rational way. But let's be really clear. We had masks on the planes, and we have been instructed as flight attendants for decades now to ask someone to mask up when there is an epidemic outbreak and they're coughing on the plane, for example. So this is not an abnormal thing. We usually stop the spread of communicable disease at transportation's door. And when you're in that metal tube, you have a set of rules you don't have anywhere else. You can't bring a gun or a knife into my workplace. You got to practically undress to show you're not a security threat. And you got to have that seatbelt on because it's not just for your protection. If you get thrown around the aircraft cabin, you're going to come down and land and hurt someone else too. So there's a set of rules that you've got to follow. And flight attendants are there to give that leadership or enforce those rules and get other people to help us. And that mask mandate could come back. But let's be really clear, Alex. There are people who are traveling to the airport today where there's still mask mandates in place on transportation in certain cities. So you got to pay attention to what the rules are at the time. And also, you know, we got to get back to, okay, let's take a breath here. Let's follow the science. Listen to the recommendations from the public health professionals and make sure that we're taking care of each other.
Give me 5. You're the best. I'm so glad to have you here, given how much I fly. I'm grateful for what you do. And, you know, I'm a JetBlue girl, and all the flight attendants keeping us safe and treating us well while we're in the air.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll see you again soon, I hope. Everyone, watch your calendar. There is a day coming up that could be critical in Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We're going to explain that in our next hour.